I still remember the sound my boots made that night. That soft crunch of frozen dirt that echoed way louder than it should have across the high desert. I was on boundary patrol, alone, somewhere between Dulce and the old burn scar. The elders tell us not to cross after dark. And before you ask, yeah, I knew the stories. Every Jicarilla kid grows up hearing the warnings. But being a cop, you kind of learn to file folklore under nice to know, not actionable at least. I used to. It was just past midnight when dispatch called in a complaint. Lights moving along the boundary fence. No vehicles spotted. No ranchers reporting activity. I remember rolling my eyes, rubbing that knot of tension at the base of my skull, and thinking it was probably teenagers or some drunk hunters who got turned around. But the second I stepped out of my unit, the air changed. I mean that literally. The cold wasn't just cold, felt intentional. Like stepping into a room where someone had just stopped talking about you. You ever feel watched before you see anyone? Like the dark itself is leaning closer, yet that. My flashlight barely cut through the dusk of moonless sky. The land was so quiet, I swear I could hear my own blood in my ears. And then I saw it. A figure standing right against the boundary line. Too thin, too tall, back turned, not moving. I cleared my throat, called out authority voice. You know, Jicarilla Police. You okay out here? It didn't turn around. Instead, its head tilted. Not the body, just the head. Like an owl. Like a full 90 degrees. I felt something in me recoil. This primal little animal part of my brain, whispering, nope, nope, nope. But I walked closer anyway, because that's the job, right? Try to help the living. Try not to piss off the dead, and pray you don't mix the two up. As I approached, my radio crackled. Not the normal static. Something like whispering. A woman's voice. Soft. Urgent, but dispatch was offline. I checked my screen, no signal. When I looked back up, the figure wasn't at the boundary anymore. It was behind me. I didn't hear it move. Didn't feel air shift. It was just there. A shape so close, I could smell it. Like wet soil, an old sage, and something metallic underneath, like rusted blood. I spun, hand on my holster, and the beam of my flashlight landed on. Nothing, just swirling dust. I should have left then. But curiosity is a poison stronger than fear, and I wanted answers. The lights reported earlier. Now they were moving slow, drifting orbs gliding between the junipers. Like lanterns carried by people walking in a funeral line. Except they weren't people. Their shapes were wrong. Limbs bending like heat shimmer. Faces collapsing and reforming. Figures flickering shorter, taller, gone, back again. And they were all facing me. You don't belong here, a voice said, except no mouth moved. The words came from everywhere at one sky ground, inside my own ribs. My throat dried instantly. I couldn't even breathe right. What are you? I managed. The orbs pulsed, and the answer I got wasn't sounded, was understanding, shoved into my mind like a memory I shouldn't have. We are older than your laws, older than your fences, older than your fear. I stepped back. The land behind me felt like it was tipping. My flashlight flickered once, twice, then died completely. In the dark, the figures moved closer. One brushed my shoulder light as a shand every hair on my body stood up. I saw something a flash inside my head. Bodies lying along this same boundary line. Decades apart, always unsolved, always marked as animal attacks. But these weren't attacks. They were warnings. Payments, maybe. Or reminders. And then just as quick the figures turned away. All of them walking back into the darkness, dissolving like smoke. A final whisper trailed behind. Do not patrol this line again. Not when the moon is gone. When I finally made it back to my unit, the engine wouldn't start for several minutes. My hands were trembling so badly, I could barely hold the keys. You probably think I hallucinated the whole thing. But here's the part that still keeps me up. The next morning, just after sunrise, ranchers found tracks all along the boundary fence. Feet human-shaped, except each print had too many toes. And the heel was reversed. Tell me, would you go back out there alone? I should start by saying this. Out on the reservation, knocks on the door after midnight never mean anything good. Usually it's a drunk neighbor. Sometimes it's a lost tourist who ran out of gas. Once it was a mountain lion tapping its claws on someone's back window, like it wanted to come in for coffee. But this was different from the first knock. It was late autumn, the cold kind that makes the wood of old houses creak like they're whispering to themselves. I had just finished paperwork reports, citations, the usual stuff the public never thinks cops do and was drinking lukewarm coffee in the station when the call came in. A woman from the eastern housing area said someone kept knocking on her door. Not pounding, not scratching, knocking, soft, polite, repetitive. And she said the same sentence 3 times, voice shaking so hard I could hear her teeth click. She won't stop, she won't stop, she won't stop. I asked who, she hung up. So I drove out there, tires whispering over gravel. The night overhead, a black dome with no stars. Not one. Her house was small paint peeling, porch light buzzing like a dying insect. But the moment I stepped out of my unit, every instinct in me flared. The air tasted wrong, bitter, like someone had burned sage the day before, but didn't finish the cleansing. Before I even knocked on the door, she pulled it open a crack. I saw her eyes first red and wet, like she hadn't blinked in hours. She's still here, the woman whispered. Who? I asked. She shook her head. You'll see, that's when the knocking started again. 3 taps, slow, measured, on the back door. The woman grabbed my sleeve, fingers cold as ice. Don't open it, she breathed. Please. I walked toward the back of the house anyway, because that's what they train us to do. Assess threats, keep civilians safe, pretend we're not scared even when our guts drop into our boots. But when I reached the kitchen, something made me stop. A feeling pressure-like, unseen hands pressing gently against my chest. The knocking came again, same rhythm, same softness. You ever hear something that sounds too human? I mean that. Too perfect, too rehearsed. Like someone trying to imitate a person, but missing some tiny detail. That's what it sounded like. I pulled back the curtain on the back window just an inch, and I saw her. A woman, standing perfectly still in the pale porch light. Long black hair, bare feet, white dress fluttering, even though there was no wind at all. And her face, God, her face was wrong. Not deformed, not monstrous, just unfinished. Like someone had started sculpting her features, but stopped before adding expression. Smooth where there should have been detail. Still where there should have been life. She lifted her hand and knocked again. 3 taps, soft, patient. Ma'am, I called through the glass. You need to step back from the door. She didn't blink, didn't breathe, didn't move except for her hand rising and falling in that unnatural, perfect rhythm. And then she spoke, but her mouth didn't move. I'm cold, the voice said, a child's voice. High, fragile, echoing from somewhere behind my ribs instead of outside. I stepped back so fast, I nearly tripped over a chair. The woman who lived there sobbed into her hands. She says that every night, she whispered. Every night for the past week. I asked the obvious question, did she ever come inside? The woman shook her head. She doesn't want to come in. She hesitated. She wants me to follow her. The knocking stopped. Silence folded over the house so thick you could hear the refrigerator buzzing in the other room. When I looked through the window again, the woman on the porch was gone. No footsteps, no fading silhouette. Just empty, cold air. I stepped outside to check the perimeter rookie move. In hindsight, the darkness felt heavier than before, like it was gathering under the trees. My breath fogged in front of me, even though the temperature wasn't low enough for that. I scanned the yard with my flashlight and nearly dropped it, because now she was standing by the tree line, farther away, facing me, waiting. I'm cold, the voice said again. But this time, it came from behind me. The homeowner screamed. I spun, gun drawn, heart smashing against my ribs, and there was nothing. Nothing behind me, nothing beside me. But the voice, God, the voice kept circling, like a child running round the house. I'm cold, come with me. Come with me. Ever heard a voice that makes your bones feel wet? That's the best way I can explain it. I grabbed the homeowner and guided her into my unit. The second the doors shut, the atmosphere changed, warmer, safer, almost normal. Until the back window fogged up and a small handprint appeared. On the inside, we drove away fast. I didn't look in the mirrors. I didn't breathe until we hit the highway. The next morning, I went back to the house with another officer. No footprints in the yard, no signs of forced entry, but the back door had one thing etched into the wood grain, almost invisible unless the light hit just right. Follow that night. The woman moved to stay with family, and the house stayed empty. But neighbors keep reporting the same knocking, same hour, same rhythm. Soft, polite, patient. Tell me if you heard that at midnight. Would you open the door? I've worked this job long enough to know that not every distress call comes from someone who's alive. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but out here, in the shadow of the Mesa, you learn fast that the dead don't always stay quiet, and the living don't always stay safe. It started on a Thursday night, right after sunset. The sky was still bruised purple, streaked with the last bit of warmth before the desert cooled. I'd just parked my unit overlooking the ridge when dispatch radioed in a 911 call from a number that wasn't in our system. The voice on the line according to dispatch was shaky, whispering, barely audible, a young man saying, "I'm trapped. I can't see. I can't get out." He gave coordinates that landed right under the northern Mesa. Problem is, there's nothing out there. No houses, no campsites, no roads. Just cracked red earth, scrub brush, and a silence thick enough to make you question your own heartbeat. I drove out anyway. The closer I got, the stranger the air felt heavy. Like standing under a storm cloud that hadn't decided whether to break open or disappear. When I stepped out of the vehicle, the desert smelled like metal. You know that scent, like rain hitting hot dirt mixed with old blood. The kind of smell that crawls up the back of your throat. The coordinates led me right to the base of the mesa, where the ground dipped into a narrow crevice. A place you wouldn't notice unless you were searching. "Hello," I called out. "This is Jicarilla Tribal Police. Can you hear me?" For a second, nothing. Then a voice drifted up from the crack. The same whisper dispatch had described. "Help, please." But here's the thing. The voice didn't echo at all. Sound should bounce around in a tight space like that. But this, it sounded flat, dead. "You stuck down there?" I asked. "Tell me what happened." The voice trembled. "I fell. Everything went dark. I can't move." "All right," I said, kneeling. "Stay with me. I'm going to get a rope from my truck." "Don't leave me," the voice said. And the way it said it too fast, too desperate, made something in my chest tighten. People in real panic breathe between words. This voice didn't. "I'll be right back," I told him. I stood, turned, and froze. There were footprints behind me, leading toward the crevice. Bare footprints, small, child-sized, and they hadn't been there 30 seconds earlier. "You have someone with you," I called out. The voice below didn't answer with words. It made a sound I still can't describe. Half sob, half laugh. Like someone trying on emotions they didn't understand. I stepped back, hard. The wind picked up suddenly, swirling dust around my legs, stinging my cheeks. My flashlight flickered, then died. I cursed, smacked at nothing. When I looked back at the ground, the child footprints were gone. Completely gone. The desert was smooth. Too smooth. Like something had wiped the surface clean. That's when the voice came again, stronger this time. "You're closer now." I wasn't. I hadn't moved an inch. My hand went instinctively to my holster. "Tell me your name," I said, forcing calm into my voice. "Don't know," it whispered. "You tell me." Every hair on my neck lifted. That voice was wrong. Not just scared, like it wasn't pretending anymore. I backed away slowly, keeping my light trained on the crack, even though it wasn't working. My boots scraped over the rock sharp, loud reland that helped, grounding me. Then something rose from the crevice. Not a person, not even a shape, just darkness, thicker than the night around it, like someone had sliced out a piece of the world. It stretched upward, taller, wider, blooming like smoke underwater. And then the voice came again, but this time from inside my head. You came when I called. Others always do. I stumbled back, breathing hard. The air felt syrup thick. My lungs burned as if I were inhaling dust. The darkness kept unfolding slow, deliberate, like it was studying me. You're not real, I whispered. The voice chuckled. A horrible, delicate sound. Then why did you answer? The darkness snapped back into the crevice as fast as a striking snake. The wind stopped instantly. My flashlight blinked back on, and my radioed 4 minutes screeched with static, so loud it made me flinch. Dispatch, Unit 12. The caller disconnected. Number not found. Repeat, number not found. I drove out of there without looking back. I didn't care if it sounded unprofessional. I floored it until the Mesa was a shrinking shadow behind me. But here's the part that still claws at my mind. The next morning, I checked the call logs myself. The 911 call didn't show up. Not even as an error. But there was something else in the systems, something no one could explain. Under my unit number, at the exact time of the call, the console had recorded 5 seconds of audio. Just breathing, but not human breathing. Wet, dragged out, almost, hungry. And beneath it, barely audible, someone whispering, "I'll call again when you're alone. So tell me, if your radio screamed to life right now, would you answer it?" I've been a cop long enough to know when someone's tailing me. The feeling hits your spine before your brain catches on. That pressure between your shoulder blades, that instinct screaming you're not alone. But that night, the one tailing me was me. It started on a Tuesday, the kind of dry, empty night where even the coyotes sound tired. I'd been assigned highway patrol along Route 64, right near the stretch locals call Dead Mile, not because of accidents, but because sometimes people swear they see things walking there. Things that don't cast shadows. Anyway, around 11, dispatch tells me there's a stalled vehicle reported near marker 20. I hadn't passed anything like that earlier, but Dead Mile has dips and curves that swallow sound and light. So I turned the cruiser around, headlights cutting long white scars across the asphalt. Halfway down the road, my radio clicked. Not with chatter, with breathing. A long, shallow inhale. Then a slow exhale, like someone trying to match the rhythm of my own lungs. "Dispatch, you hearing that?" I asked. No response, just breathing, perfectly synced to mine now. You ever feel something copy you in real time, like it's learning your pattern? My skin crawled. I kept driving. 10 minutes later, I checked my rear view, and my stomach dropped so fast it felt like gravity changed. There was a unit behind me. Same model, same light bar, same tint. And on the bumper, my car number, my plate, my scratches on the paint. It was my cruiser. Following my cruiser, my throat went dry. I slowed the vehicle. The one behind me slowed too. Not a fraction more. Not a fraction less, exactly my speed. I hit my brakes hard. Both cruisers stopped mine, and the one wearing my skin. I pulled off to the shoulder, heart hammering. The desert was silent, windless, like the world was holding a breath. I stepped out, one hand on my holster, the night colder than it should have been. The other unit's driver door opened, but no one was inside. Just the cabin light flickering like a dying star. I walked closer, boots crunching gravel, breath hanging in thin, pale clouds. The desert shouldn't have been this cold. Not in early fall. Not unless something was draining the heat. "Hello," I called out. "If someone's messing with me, you better come out now." Silence. Then my radio chirped. My voice said, "Officer, please return to your vehicle." I froze so hard my jaw locked. That was my exact tone, my exact cadence. Not a recording, not an echo. Me, but I hadn't spoken. The other cruiser's headlights flared to life, blinding white. I stumbled back, shielding my face, and that's when I heard it. The clicking, soft, metallic, rhythmic, coming from the engine bay. Like something tapping the inside of the hood, trying to get out, or trying to get in. I circled toward the back of the vehicle, and the tapping followed. Moving faster, tracking my position like it could hear my footsteps. Like it knew me. "You shouldn't be here." My voice again this time, whispering from the cruiser's speaker. Except I hadn't keyed the mic. I reached for the driver door, hand trembling, half expecting something to grab me. When I pulled it open, the smell hit first. Dust, cold metal, and something sour underneath, like breath coming from a place no air should reach. The seat was empty, but the seatbelt was buckled, tight, pressed into the cushion as if someone had just been sitting there. I leaned in, slowly, flashlight sweeping over the dashboard, and that's when the mirrors moved, all three at once, tilting toward me. In the reflection, I saw my own face, but the expression wasn't mine. My reflection smiled wide. Wrong. I stumbled backward, slammed the door shut, and the whole cruiser shuddered like something inside it was waking up. Then its engine turned over, on its own, growling low, headlights flaring brighter than any standard issue bulb had the right to. I bolted to my own unit. "Dispatch, respond now." I barked into the radio. "I've got something out here copying my static," swallowed my words. Behind me, the other cruiser revved once, twice, 3 times. Each louder, angrier, impatient. I started my engine. The imitation started its engine. I pulled onto the road. It followed, not tailing, mirroring. Every turn of my wheel, every tap of the brake, every inch I gained, it matched perfectly. Soon, we were both speeding down Dead Mile, dust spiraling behind us, the night screaming past. My heart felt like it was punching through my ribs. Then the radio crackled one last time. My voice, calm, steady, said, "Only one of us makes it back." My blood iced. I swerved hard into a side road, killing my lights. My cruiser idled behind a boulder outcropping, engine barely whispering. The other unit roared past 2 fast headlights, slicing through the dark like knives. Then it vanished, not down the road, not into the distance. Just gone, like someone cut it out of the world. A full minute passed before I could breathe again. I drove back to the station, slow, trembling, headlights off, praying whatever wore my shape wasn't circling back. When I got there, the night shift supervisor asked why I'd been calling dispatch from 2 radios. I hadn't, but the logs showed 2 units using my call number that night. Both at the same time. One transmission was mine. The other, they played it back for me. It was my voice, laughing, soft, cold, like it was still out there somewhere, waiting for the next patrol. So, tell me something. If you were on a dark road and saw your own car coming toward you, same lights, same dents, same plate, would you stop, or would you run?